Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of a follow-up for the actions of a few. I was later informed that I was probably sounding like I might have been, that I wasn't portraying people and things right. I wanted to reiterate and explain a few things. First off, my buddy Nick, he wasn't being racist, and he's not a racial person. I'll tell you, I'll give it to you like this. Back when we was in school, racism, when we first got into high school, was kind of prominent. Yeah, there we were still, there were still white and black. Okay, let me give you a little extra background. My school was probably 30% black and the rest was white, maybe like 1% Hispanic. Maybe a little bit more than that, but we didn't have many Hispanics, nor Asians. But our school was a little on the racist side of life, especially during Black History Month. And my freshman, I remember it was a huge fight against a lot of white kids and a lot of black kids. We had this big, I don't know, I guess you want to call it like a patio for you or whatever like that out in front of our school, and that's where a lot of people hung out. Well, they got a big old fight out there anyways. That happened my freshman and sophomore year. Well, then after that, things kind of simmered down, and where like normally you have like cliques in school and whatnot. Well, they kind of like, you still had your friends that you were close with and that you hung out with the most and stuff like that, obviously, but we intermingled. There were black kids hanging out with white kids hanging out with black kids. The cliques, what you would call cliques, like the preps or the jocks or the hicks or rednecks, country boys, whatever. The cheerleaders, and those are, I guess you say, you had like the bookworms, or you had the too cool for school kids, them cliques and stuff like that. Well, they kind of really dissolved. And I remember hanging out with all sorts of different races, religions, people that we weren't best friends or anything like that, but we all hung out together, during school, at lunch or after school or whatever, at parties and whatnot. I mean, the parties, they weren't just like, it's just gonna be, this is just a country boy party, or this is just a preppy party or whatever like that. We all kind of intermingled, and it was really nice. I mean, we overcame all that. Well, what I was saying about Nick is that, this is the guy that introduced me to a lot of people in school. I hadn't been in school very long. My freshman year, I really didn't get to know a whole lot of people, but he kind of introduced me to a lot of people, and a lot of them were different religions, or Methodists. We didn't have any. I don't know if we had any Muslims or not in school or not. But Methodist, Baptist, Catholic, so forth and so on, and and different races, black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian. Like I said, I'm not 100% certain we had any Muslim or Indian. I just don't know. But what I'm getting at is that there was no racism involved. It was just like, these are guys. They're just guys like you and I. These are gals just like you and I. So I wanted to clarify that Nick is not racist, okay? And he never meant even in his post to even say it like that. That's just, he's got a lot of hatred towards that religion. And basically that religion is comprised of what he called them. Anyways, I wanted to clarify that. Another is that I've also been told that it sounded like that I'm being racist. Well, I'm not racist. Now, just like you, just like the person that may be sitting next to you, or your best friend, or whatever, there are prejudices, okay? And really, I hate to say, use even the color of a person's skin to differentiate, but for everybody to understand, you have to. You can't say, just Americans in general and try to, explain racism and why it shouldn't happen without, calling them certain, whatever the certain race they are, black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, Muslim, Middle Eastern, or whatever. You can't do that. You can't describe them without calling them that. So, just wanted to clarify that as well. I am definitely not a racist person. I have many, many black people as friends, Hispanics. One of my really good friends, he's Hispanic, and I just wanted to get that out there so that y'all understand where I do come from. That I'm not meaning anything derogatory or racist or out of line to anybody. Now, lastly, in his post, he was, wondering how can you differentiate between, a good Muslim and a bad Muslim when, I guess the husband and wife team that did the shooting in San Bernardino. The husband was, U.S. citizen born and so forth and so on. How can you differentiate? How could you even know? Well, you can't. That's just like you can't know when, like that Columbine kid. Years ago, y'all, I know most of y'all probably remember that or heard of it. That Columbine kid. He's a white kid. How did you know that he was going to go in there and shoot up the school? Didn't. Okay? And there's several acts like that are all over the country, all over the world. You just don't know. And there's nothing that you can really do about it. Now, you can be a little bit more proactive and, maybe screen everybody, or, vet them or whatever. Okay, well then, at that point, what you're doing is you're touching on communist values, I guess. And that's something that we don't want. You need to be free to do as you will within the limits of the law. So how do you tell one from the other? There really is no way. This guy, I think his name is Maruk, or I might be mispronouncing that. I don't know. I'm sorry if I am, but he had lots of friends in the community. He worked at a disability center, and everybody said he was a great guy, and there never really was any problems or anything like that. Didn't seem like, he was just another guy. Well, some people do crack, and some people do live lies. Now it's coming out that they were affiliated. They reached out to Al Qaeda and terrorist organizations overseas, but we can't tell without basically bringing them in, interrogating the crap out of them, and then whether they pass or fail. And then again, how do you know if they pass or fail? Like I said, this guy was, he lived a normal life, but yet he was affiliated with them. What do you do? best thing to do, in my opinion, is just stay on your toes. Don't discriminate. You know, don't cause scenes or anything like that. You know, don't be derogative and, you know, hateful and, you know, demeaning to these people. We're going to talk about just Muslims. Don't be demeaning to them, because you might just drive a bigger wedge in between you and them, and it might be likely that they would do something. Well, that's not good for you or I or anybody else. So instead, just try to get to know them. You know, be civil, like you would talk to, you know, somebody else on the street. You know, and if you're a white person, talk to them like you would talk to another white person or a coworker at work. You know, talk to them like that. You don't have to be, don't have to, you know, be demeaning or prejudiced against them. Now, you can have your prejudices and so forth and so on, but don't let them be known. Now, granted, now you're talking about freedom of speech. You're taking away our freedom of speech. Well, no. But do you have a basis for your prejudices? Okay, so there's a few terrorist organizations overseas. We've been attacked in the United States on one large scale and maybe a couple, 2 or 3 lower scales. A Muslim extremists. Islamic extremists. Well, those actions of a few. There are millions of Muslims in the country, or in the world. Okay? You're judging them all. Stop. Just back up. You have no basis for your prejudices. That's a small fraction of a group of people. A fraction of the entire Muslim community that's causing all this headache. So, I hope this kind of more clarifies, you know, some of my videos and whatnot, and especially the previous actions of a few one. I don't want people to get the wrong impression of me or anybody that I talk about, or wrong impression of a lot of people out in the world, because, well, Sean said this, Sean said that, you know. Well, only because it was said doesn't mean it's absolutely accurate. I am not a public figure. I am just giving my opinions, which I can do without backlash. Well, legal backlash, it is. I might get some backlash, but anyways. Alright, anyways, getting close to my time. I need to get off here. I hope this helps a little bit, and Nick, again, I am sorry. Never meant to make you sound racist in any way, shape, or form. Next time I'll choose my words, hopefully more wisely. Alright, so anyways, hey, if anybody is watching this and you're watching it today, this is Saturday, I am headed to the Louisiana Renfest tonight. We'll be staying there tonight, and with a few friends from the TRFF group, and then I'll be in the camp or fairgrounds tomorrow all day, probably taking some pictures, videos, and whatnot. So stay tuned, and I will do what I can about getting them to y'all, getting them posted. Alright, so anyways, y'all keep it real, have a safe weekend, and love y'all. Peace.